would you say to people who say that you're just a pathetic troll who's gonna lose? Marianne Williamson, she was on MSNBC, and now there's some things I like about Marianne Williamson. There's a lot that's kind of lame about her, but MSNBC would do this to any primary candidate that's not Joe Biden. They do this pathetic attempt at a hit job on her. And I'm going to play bits of it. So it's Mehdi Hasan, who used to be at The Intercept, has become this squishy liberal mainstream media disgusting human being. And his job is to just tear apart people like Marianne Williamson, people like Matt Taibbi. It's to tear apart the people doing the real work, people that are actually revealing the truth versus this garbage that MSNBC does, the garbage of Russiagate, everything else. And that's his job. He is a courtesan of power. He's a bootlicker of the corporate elite. And rather than give her fair coverage, he just tries to minimize and shut down her primary campaign before it even gets started. So
what do you say to those who point out that, yes, you are popular with younger voters and on TikTok, but you can't win a Democratic presidential primary?
First of all, I love the rhetorical trick of, what do you say to those who would say, insert horrific, terrible, mean thing to say right here? Like, just say it, dude. If that's your question, hey, you can't win, then have some goddamn balls and just say it. Instead of this, what would you say to people who say that you're just a pathetic troll who's gonna lose? What would you say to them? I would never say such a thing, but what would you say to them? You know, it's like talking to a politician. Like, what would you say to those people who say you're a piece of shit? What would you say to them? Dude, just ask. Don't couch it in the what would you say. He would never ask that question of President Biden. What would you say to people who say you are just a sack of shit?
Where you're essentially a spoiler candidate. And so by primarying Biden, all you're doing is weakening him in the general and making it easier for a Republican to beat him in 2024 in what will be a very tight election.
Well, there are two things about what you said. First of all, you said I'm a spoiler candidate. I'm not a spoiler candidate. I'm running in a primary. So you can't be a spoiler if you're running in the primary.
Yeah, you idiot. The definition of a spoiler is someone in the general election. The definition of a spoiler would be like Ross Perot. And although some statistics show that he didn't actually spoil anything, but that's what Republicans believe, that George H.W. Bush would have won, except Perot took a very large percentage for himself, thereby allowing Bill Clinton to win. That's the definition of a spoiler. A spoiler is not someone running in the goddamn primary, you idiot. Furthermore, if Joe Biden is so pathetic, so lame that simply speaking the truth about him in the primaries in a democratic, supposedly Democrat, we're not really Democrat, but in a democratic system, if that destroys him, if they make it hard for him to run because it's hard for him to win because you told the truth about him in the primary, then he was a pathetic candidate to begin with. You idiot. You're a spoiler in the primary, right?
The second thing you said was this narrative, you can't win. Isn't that what people said about Donald Trump? I will win if people vote for me. I believe that in a democracy, people should have as wide an array of options before them as there are candidates running on agendas. That's what a democracy is. We need to protect our democracy right now.
So here's some of the stuff, which is, where Marianne Williamson loses me, but I understand this is how you run for president, but we got to protect our democracy. We don't have a democracy. We don't have anything resembling a democracy. We have a completely rigged system, rigged by money, rigged by unaccountable computer voting machines, rigged by superdelegates, rigged by gerrymandering, rigged by every different manner of rigging. We do not have it's not like one person, one vote. That's bullshit. Come on now. They purge millions of black people from the rolls every year. They put a ton of voting machines in white areas and like one in a black area. There's a million ways this shit is rigged. Rigged by media is one of the biggest. I'd say number one is money. Number two is media. If the media is going to give 18 hours of coverage every day to Donald Trump and Joe Biden and 0.0.1 minute of, I don't know how many points I put into that. 0.0. That's how math works, right? You keep putting decimal places. 0.0.1 minute to Marianne Williamson or RFK Jr., then that's another way of rigging it. So we don't have there's nothing even close to a democracy. But of course, Mehdi Hasan is doing what our mainstream media does, which is carefully try and undermine, try and destroy before they even have a chance anybody who goes up against the establishment, goes up against the ruling elite, which at the moment is the Biden administration.
Obvious to everyone. The way you protect your democracy is by using your democracy. Candidate suppression is a form of voter suppression. So this idea that I'm a spoiler, no, I'm not a spoiler. I'm a candidate in a primary, and it's very important, I believe, that the president debate me, that the president debate any other people who are challenging him. At a time like this, when the fascists are clearly at the door, we should be having a very serious conversation about what it will take to defeat them, and not just accepting what the DNC has to say because a few elites have decided.
By the way, the fascists are in power. I mean, when you have a government that has the largest prison state in the world, the largest police state in the world, the largest military ownership of the globe, the largest amount spent on military, the largest number of innocent people being killed by your military, and you're locking up and murdering journalists, you might be a fascist state. When you have that stuff going on, yeah, you might be a fascist state. So it's not fascist at the door. It is a form of fascism.
It's going to be Joe Biden.
Well, if you're a viewer of the show, and I don't know if you are or not, I'm very clear about the fascist threat, which is why I worry.
The fascist threat that only apparently comes from the right wing, which the right wing is a horrific fascist threat, but it's only Republicans? Really? Then how do we live? How is it we live in the largest prison state in the world if it's not also the Democrats? This is one party. This is one goddamn party. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that clip of, and Marianne Williamson's doing largely fine in that interview, but she's up against MSNBC doing what they do best, which is lick the boots of liberal power. And they're trying to make sure that she doesn't even have a minute to criticize Joe Biden.